number one with computers, and probably the most important scam avoidance technique, is to step back and not act on what you see. Don't let that information prompt you to actually do something till you fully review it. Computer has a way of making you want to do it now. Um, we're going to go over this new product. Apple, that leads the way. They made the iPod all those years ago, has their first really new product. The last one was the iWatch, which was many years ago. And this is called Apple Vision. It's an artificial intelligence device, set of goggles. And it's a pretty cool presentation. And if Apple's putting it out, it portends other things. Every year we have a class project. Last year we created a class password saver, which we still have, something that you can fill in and you can work with throughout the year. It's expandable, it's growable. So we have that saved. Took a year of going back and forth, and I can email that to anyone, and that can live and breathe. That's also a shareable password calendar, which means a password saver, which means you can save passwords to a different copy that are just the main ones and share them with your trusted person that would look after you or help you with the information if you're indisposed. This year, because of the wonders of Google, everybody can build their own website. You can build a very basic free website. It could be a memorial website. It could be a website to your art that you make, your retirement business, to the grandkids, to the family trip to Venice, Italy last year. It can be a website dedicated to a church or any religious or organizational group that you're part of. And it's free and it doesn't cost anything. It could just be something you have in perpetuity. And we'll review that. And I thought this year, if we can create a Lacerswell retirement website, that would be tips for retirees, things you've learned, short little snippets and things you've learned about different subjects. And then we can create different topics. One could be finance, one could be meditation, one could be housing, so on and so forth. But mostly it's for you to learn that you can have your print on the web and it doesn't cost anything. It's not a scary project. We're talking about our hot topic, your Wi-Fi bill. How many years did you go to work and checked every document perfectly because you had to report it to the boss? Well, apply the same thing to that Wi-Fi cable bill and your cell phone bill and look through it and inquire about discounts and senior discounts. We'll talk about some big scams out there, how to avoid them. We know the holidays were huge. Hopefully nobody took the bait. I'll show you some scary instances where people did take the bait. We'll do a little brief social media review. It's the beginning of the year. I use them to communicate. And we'll talk about the Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and we've all heard about TikTok. It is the beginning of the year. It's house cleaning. How do you take care of your physical device after a busy holiday, snapping pictures of the kids and the grandkids and all the holiday parties and everything you've done? How can you physically keep that device a little lighter and take care of it and give it a tune-up just like your car for another year? This is a good time now to get discounts at stores. So if you went to a Staples or a Best Buy and you needed a pair of headphones or earbuds or a case, this is a good time to get it because that stuff is much less expensive now. We'll talk about anybody's journey in telemedicine. If anybody has any new news, we know that's, can you imagine telemedicine on a visual headset from Apple, having an appointment with the doctor? You can always be in the office. And then we'll have our Tech Jeopardy. We have trivia at the end of class for prizes. Let's talk about creating a website. Who has a project that they do on the side, a craft or a club or a church kind of group, or something that you create that's important. I see Nancy's hand is up. It could be from physical painting, or maybe you want to sell sculptures or calligraphy, whatever kind of side kind of project you want to do. In the old days, you'd make some calling cards, right? And you'd go to places and you'd hand them out, leave them at the front in the dry cleaners. Remember the long stack of cards? You go to Starbucks, put them on the bulletin board. Those days are long gone. You can do it a couple ways. One way is you can make an easy website for yourself. Now, I thought about bringing this to class because it's really simple. It can be done even if you have a book club. And I use the word church group because it's just an organizational group. It is something you could do for anything you're part of, any kind of group you're part of, and create this website. It used to be really some money involved. Now, not so much. In the wonderful world of Google, stepping away, we've given Apple its credos. Let's give Google its bona fides. Who has a Gmail account, an email that ends at Gmail?
I do, but I don't use it.
It's Ms. Morg, it's a good email to have because it doesn't just mean you have a good, secure email. It means you have all the products underneath it that Google offers. One of those products you might not know is called YouTube. YouTube is a Google product.
You have to have it for YouTube in order to share stuff on YouTube.
Right. You can watch YouTube as anybody, but if you have a
Right.
Google account, you can get more involved. There's a product called Google Docs, which is a beautiful free word processor. Who pays Microsoft $69.99 a year for their word processor? So they have the word on there because you're comfortable with it. We've all had it for years. But LAUSD and more use Google Docs or Google Sheets, which is like Excel. But one of those products I'm going to show you is called Google Sites. So I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to open the good old Google over here. Now, in Google world, that's my normal Google page. Over here, there's this, I can annotate this. How do I do this? I'll annotate, look at that. And spotlight. Over here, does everybody see that grid, those dots on the upper right?
Yes, I see it.
You see that? By the way, that's where all the apps are, but I found out the official name for that. It's called the waffle. For real. In Google World, that little grid, which has a lot of good stuff that you get for free by having an account, is called the waffle. Let's click open the waffle. In the waffle, you have all sorts of good stuff. Contacts, Google Drive, which is a place to store things, a great calendar, word processor, Excel sheet, of course, mail, YouTube, other things. Google Maps, I'm a user of. One of them is called Google Sites. And where did I put Google Sites? I think I may be in the wrong account. Oh, I was so close in my. There it is. No, I'm right here. Google Sites. Now let's open that up. It's very intuitive. Here you go. Now you're pretty close to creating a website. Let's say you wanted to make a website dedicated to a wedding. Somebody's wedding.
It's very bad. Yeah.
So in here, there'll be templates. So you had an event, it could be wedding. Hold on, I'm going to check the, if anybody wants to mute themselves, well, then I can figure this out. All right. In here, let's say you wanted to create just a website that you can send everybody to with all the pictures from the wedding or the trip or the party or the christening or whatever you're celebrating. You can open up your pre-organized template. And now we can rename this. We can call this QUINCEN. Am I spelling that right? So that could be somebody's quinceañera. And then you could put the date. And in here, you could put different photos. You could tell the story, of whoever's party it is and move through the party. You could change all these topics instead of wedding party, close family, the food, the friends, if you want to send a gift, so on and so forth. And you can manipulate this to be a website, a regular website. And then we can publish it. And I'm going to publish it, and it's not going to go live yet. And I'll have a website to share. And I can add and change. And then if somebody wanted to go to that website, it'll be pretty easy. You get its own URL, a place that you could share it. So if you want to share that website, you could type in as many people as you want, and I could share it with Stephanie Smith. I could share it with Sally. I was going to say Sally King, but I was going to write, yeah, there you are, Sally King, so on and so forth, whoever I wanted to share it with. And that website is published. The purpose of this lesson is that not only, of course, you can do a fun party for yourself, you can do something meaningful. It could be an in memoriam. Like I said, it could be for a group. So you can have a website up for 2 weeks. The old days, you'd think, oh, I have to have a website. It's a big investment. I'm going to have it forever. This could simply be the Important meeting, important fundraiser. And then you'd call it, our group. And then you'd name it. It's going to be at the Radisson, and put your agenda together for that one meeting.
Mhm.
Then when you have this completed, and it's sort of fun, it's sort of a patchwork, you could then send the link out to all of your people. You could put it on social media, and it could only be it only has to be for the single event, or the in memoriam, or the wedding, or so on and so forth. Does that make sense to anyone?
Yeah. Question,
Yes.
Elijah.
Yeah.
So if you have, like, I have upcoming wedding, and if I want to post the picture, then I want to share with my family and friends. So that, how long it is good for, and that take up the allowed space with all Google apps, documents and stuff you have, right?
So it's a perfect question because it's a perfect example. So you're going to go to a wedding, and you'll take extensive pictures from arrival, the whole thing. You'll document your whole, you'll take a bunch of pictures. And now you'll want to share many of those pictures with a lot of people, spread
Uh-huh.
out. We all know that problem. Who's going to send an email that has some pictures or a video and it says too big, it won't send. We all
Yeah.
know that those old days, right? And it just doesn't send. Imagine now you're going to create a website. It's cheap, easy. When I say cheap, because there's no money involved except your time in front of the computer. And I think it's fun. I think it's a good project, and it's good for the brain. It's a puzzle. What you can do is you'll create the story. You'll put all the pictures in, the day, how they met, the day before, so on and so forth. Off they go, and the car goes off with cans in the background for the honeymoon. And then you'll just have that in one website to share. You send everybody the link, and they can click in that website to see whatever they want to see. Now, how long does it last? This is where Google's great. Google's not going to charge you to have that website on there. They're going to charge you if you run out of storage. So let's say you have 4 videos, and you did the whole ceremony, and from walking in the back up to the beautiful sunset on the beach with everybody standing there, and it was 15 minutes before the pastor finished the ceremony and they kissed the bride. And that's a long video. You can store that on Google, and anybody could watch it from wherever they are, on their phone, on their computer. They could be, in Venice, Italy, or Monrovia, and they just go to that website and they have the complete story. And it'll stay up and live for as long as you pay the storage, or you decide to put it away, after time. If the marriage doesn't work, you can take it down. That's the point, right?
Did you say you have to pay for storage?
That's the essence of Google. It comes with free storage, but if you run out of storage, then you would pay them. And that's where their catch is. But if it was a small website, with 10 pictures or 15 pictures or so on, it could easily be done. If you had a pet walking service, if you sold something, if you had some kind of product. Linda, you had your hand up? No. Linda's going to start a bookmaking website to take bets because she's in Las Vegas, so we can put the sports line on there. And that's illegal in California, though. You can't gamble online. That you can't go to, it's blocked. RIPs are blocked. So you can't, some places you can go, I think if you're in another state, you can go, it's called Bovado Casino. I'm telling all the retirees about illegal gambling online here. But what it means you can go online and have a live experience with a blackjack dealer in front of you, or the like. We don't have that in California. I don't think I'd be doing that either. Any other questions? Imagine, yeah. Oh, please, Nancy, unmute yourself, and I'll help you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
My friend's starting a decluttering business, and this would be great, I think.
Perfect. And free. Like wouldn't cost. You can make it your calling card. You can put a phone number, or you can create a new Gmail account. Decluttering business of Van Nuys at gmail.com. It could be anything like that. Yeah, I've seen really good memorial sites, where somebody's put together, like, I don't mean for one single person. It could be like high school class, Taft High School class of 1972. to talk about some scams. This scam has been going around, so I want to share my screen. Who's ever gone to a website or even on your phone, and all of a sudden a pop-up comes out and says, "Don't use your computer, call this number," and it seems to be frozen. You click the mouse, you move the keyboard. It just seems like it's real because nothing you're doing is the escape button's not working. And sometimes it looks like this. It sort of covers your browser over here, and it takes over the entire computer.
I fell for that once.
Okay, yeah, no, it's real. So the first
I did
impulse,
too.
yeah,
I did too.
yeah, they make a lot of money, these people. The first impulse is to call that number, right? So that's of course the last thing you should do. Hold on, there's a tad of noise in the background. I think I can just mute somebody for a half a moment. All right, let me share that again. So your first impulse when something like this happens is to call that number, right? If you see a leak in the bathroom, your first impulse is to call the plumber, right? To solve that, but you know the plumber, like you have that number saved. That's your first impulse. Train yourselves, and as we get older, this doesn't get easier. Like I don't find like you learn and then it's always there. To not react to this, to think first. It's just like getting a paper mail and thinking, is this real? Oh, look here, here's a check for equity in your home for $7 million. Exactly. Obviously, wise enough to do that. You've gotten this far in life. You're pretty wise, period. So don't do anything. It's called the I Love Lucy effect. It's like you watch a 30-minute episode on a screen this size, and it feels like you have to have the beginning, the problem, and the resolution before you get up from the seat, and go get a drink of water or go to the bathroom. It's the opposite. Don't do anything. Step away. Now, the answer to this one, and this one is called a browser hijacker. That's exactly what it is. It's not anything that's looking at your information. It's just a website that takes over your screen. It's just hijacking you. And the way to resolve this in the short run is to turn off your computer. Now, what if you can't do that because everything's blocked? Then you hold the physical power button down. That's the power button down on the computer. You hold that down for 15 seconds, and that will shut down your computer. Let it shut down, and then restart it manually. Just give it another press and turn it back on. 95% of the time, that will remove that. Then, if it keeps on recurring, there could be something or a bug or something in your computer, and you can clear your history and move forward from there. But when you see things like that, stay a million miles away. Don't respond to it. The instruction they're giving you is to get you into further trouble. And the reason they put a Microsoft logo on there is because what does con mean? When they say you're a con man, you've been conned. It means confidence. You have confidence in that brand. You say, oh, it's Microsoft. They have an 888 number. So they've created some kind of confidence in your brain. And now you're confident that if you call that number, they're going to resolve the issue, which is the last thing they're going to do. And they're really good. By the way, right now, there's somebody a few degrees away from you that's taking the bait. That's sitting at home, doesn't have a class to go to, doesn't have the impetus. Let's respond to that right now. Who gets texts that say, I see you, Ms. Moore, one moment. Who gets texts that say hello from like a 313 area code or some strange area code? Just a random text. So obviously just delete those. It's somebody important. They'll text you over and over. Wait a second, this is Grandma Ethel. You're not answering my calls, and obviously you'll know to call Grandma Ethel. But if somebody's just texting you and you see that, get rid of it. Because what are they looking for? For a free bag of Doritos, nacho cheese flavor. What are they looking for if you were to respond? They're not looking for your credit card. You're not going to go and fall for the bait. Hey, what's your credit card number? They're looking for your identity. They want to see that that's a live phone number. That's the most important thing. You can call a bunch of phone numbers, text a bunch of phone numbers, and if you get a real response, who is this? I don't know anybody named Janie at 212 area code. Then they know it's a live phone number. And then you can go on a website and you can sign up for things with a live phone number. So they're looking for your identity. Identity is very valuable, especially at your stage of life where God willing, earned, you have your retirement, maybe a couple of bucks here and there coming in. You have some kind of fluidity and stability to your life, enough that you're doing good. And that's the kind of person you're after, not to take $1 billion or someone, but get $600 once a year from someone. So be very, very careful about those. The phone calls as well. Whose home phone line, the digital one you get with your cable, just every phone call is basically a scam. And the phone just rings and you expect it. How do you handle that? Do you answer those? Do you let those ring through? Like, what's the impetus? What's the instruction to the people around you? So let it ring through, obviously. One thing that you can do, and this is helpful, is people find that you can go into your contacts, and I could put a number to every name. Okay, I have Sally King. The number is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I know if that number calls, I just don't see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I know it's Sally, or I see it's Rhonda Edwards, or M. Chen, whoever's name I'm assigning in my contact book. Then it could pop up. Well, what happens if you call Kaiser and they say, well, the radiology department is going to call you back, right? And you don't know what number it is. And if you miss that call, you're waiting again, for 7 hours before you get that call so you can make that appointment. How do you know that, right? How do you clear that? In your phone, you can clearly put the word healthcare and put the Kaiser numbers. And when you make that appointment in that first number, you say, what number will they be calling from? They'll say it's an 833. They'll give you a list of 4 numbers. And you can put that in your contact book. So then it will show up. And I just call it healthcare. And I can put those numbers in there. Other items are, if you have your old phone numbers in your contacts, whatever contacts you could be on your phone. If you're an Apple person, it'll be probably Apple contacts. If you're an Android user, it's in Google contacts. Same thing if you're a Windows user. And you can go through those and you can delete numbers you don't need. Or how many people have a name there from somebody you spoke to 15 years ago? Edwina at zltx.com that you had to speak to for an escrow for a house that you had 14 years ago. But that's still somehow in your contacts. I'm sure Edwina doesn't work at abctv.com anymore, but yet that's sitting in your contact book as a dead contact. Remove it, delete it. It's a good job to do in January, by the way, if we get a rainy day here. Pretty crisp and beautiful right now. But go through your contacts so when people call you, you can be somewhat confident that the number ringing is attached to somebody you know. Because realistically, most calls you get are from people you know. And it's pretty cool. If you do that, or even if you have a text from somebody you've been working with, and it's just their number, and you change their name, all the texts now have a name aligned to it. So who looks at their contacts regularly? Most of them are just autosave. And when you look at your contacts, are you looking at them on your phone or are you looking at them on your computer? Usually it's the phone, right? There's a little button on there. You can look for contacts. So look at your phone and look at those contacts. And in your spare time, scroll through those. Clean those up. Make one for Lacers. Make one for Blue Cross. Make the proper ones. Add those properly. Update those. Go through your list. This way, when you're contacted, you'll know those oddballs in between. And if you do answer a scam call, and you don't respond, you don't do anything, that's fine. They didn't get anything from you. But it just means that it's a hot number. And the old rule in sales, if you're not going enough, if I call you enough times, eventually you're going to, take my call and maybe I'll sell you the vacuum cleaner. So that just means you'll have continued contact. Same thing with emails. Who junks those emails? Who goes to their email list and just junks all those scammy emails? Whoever's gotten one and it says to go and do something, and you enter your email, and then nothing happens. You're like, oh, that was a waste of time. Or whoever's gotten an email from a friend the next morning says, hello, please buy my jewelry. You just get these weird emails out of nowhere. That's because somebody somehow has compromised your email. And usually because it's phishing. Who changes their email address password once a year, every 2 years? Who's had the same email address since before you retired? The one you set up 6 years before you retired. I see that. I see. Andrew, right. Back in 1997, you set yourself up with a Hotmail account at work, right? And you were still working. You had 10, 15 years of adventures in front of you at work. and now you're retired and you're still using that password, right? And it's like your dog Spot, right? No, Spot. And so it could be a hassle, but it would be a good thing to do, to go and update that password. And while you're in there, if you really want to complicate your life, if you really want to make gray, depressing, looking at the stale fruitcake from Christmas for lunch, January, just lined up there, you can go and you can add something called 2FA. Do you know what 2FA means?
No,
No? Come
no.
back to next class and we'll teach it to you then. It's been wonderful. No, 2FA means two-factor authentication. By the way, lacers.org, when you go to your benefits website for lacers, they require two-factor authentication. What does that mean? It's a good concept, and I think it has saved countless people from clicking the wrong button. So it sort of means exactly what it says. You have two factors to authenticate yourself when you go to an account. Let's start with Amazon, basic account. First, you go to Amazon.com. I'm going to type in Nancy Hyde at hotmail.com. Nancy's password is 123456 exclamation %9. And then it'll say thank you. We are going to send your phone an OTP, a message. You click a button, you look on your phone, you get a text from Amazon. It says your code is 12345. Nancy types in 12345 on her computer, and then she's in her account. That's the two-factor authentication. So anybody's email, let's do an email poll. Who's using Gmail? Pretty easy to change. Who's using AOL? Still pretty easy to change. Who's using Yahoo? Still pretty easy to change. Who's using Hotmail? You're stepping. Sorry, Van Tran.
My husband.
You're out of date. What it means, Hotmail's fine. It's run by Microsoft now. It's not an emergency. But what it means, you can't get a new Hotmail account anymore. I can't go in and say, I want to have Elijah at Hotmail. It's an older email service. So just means that you can't get a new one. Maybe other ones are who's using pacbell.net? Who remembers ca.rr.com? You remember that? Who remembers prodigy.net? Earthlink.
I had WorldNet.
Earthlink.
Earthlink, right. So
WorldNet.
who said that? What was that one that I missed? Well, there were so many out there, back in the day. I remember.
I said WorldNet.
WorldNet. I remember WorldNet. What
Yeah.
about FBCglobal.net, which is now Yahoo? So that's sort of another speech. But the point is, go to any of those emails if you have the wherewithal and update your password and maybe add that two-factor authentication and take the time. It doesn't mean you have to do it every time. Just means you have that on there. So if somehow your email gets compromised somewhere down the line, nobody can get into your account and then send emails under your name. Open a business, or, go get a loan because they can get an email back to you. It's not a bad thing to do. Keep in mind that if you're someone that has a Gmail account, an older Yahoo account, maybe you had a business, so it's Belinda at lbl.com, you still have that email, and you change those passwords, you'll have to change them in your phone as well. You'll have to update them anywhere you're receiving those emails. But I change mine periodically, and certainly the older ones, because nothing's worse than losing getting hacked and waking up and having 30 phone calls from people. When you drove to your friend's house for Thanksgiving, you had the address. You had the definite address, right? I'm going to 123 Maple Street, Pomona, California. And so you didn't just pull up to the general area and look for the houses that looked like maybe, that would be your friend's house. You went to the exact address. I want to show you something here. So here is my Google page, a normal Google page. There's a couple places to search on here. See where it says search Google or type URL right here? That's a search bar. That'll give me general results. But if I want to go directly to the address, I'll type in the top bar where I want to go. So here I can type in LACERS.org. And I'll go directly to Lacers. If I type that in here, I just go Lacers, I'll get this list of things. Now that is legitimately Lacers, but who knows what could pop up down here? Somebody could be trying to scam something and make a fake Lacers page. Doesn't take much to do that. But if I go to the top, the URL bar, to type my address in, I know I'm going directly to where I'm supposed to be going. This is a dangerous spot, but here's where you type in for a general search. By the way, this is where you just type in a place to look to order some pizza. And Miss Moore has decided everybody's going to get one of these pizzas in about 20 minutes delivered to their door. Okay, so Miss Moore, they're from Nebraska. She's ordering everybody. It's called Nebraska Freestyle. And well, thank you, Miss Moore. But at the point of when you're searching on a page, there are those search areas, and then there is that direct area, which is called the URL bar. And sometimes you type it in the wrong area, you get the wrong information. And that's a good place to go. What we do a lot at the shop now, and it's so inexpensive, is you can buy for $20, $40, a couple of cameras, web-based cameras. Amazon sells one called Blink Camera, Blink. These are little cameras. You can go to that person's home, like I've done, for many people, and of course it's them and their kids, and they seem to all agree. It's so simple to set these up on an app from your phone. It's not like a big fancy Ring camera setup. You can get one $19.99 camera called Blink from Amazon. It's an Amazon product. Get the Blink app on your phone, Android or Apple. The setup is very guidable. You connect it to the Wi-Fi in the person's home, and you put that camera, plug it in, aim at a nice little corner, that you feel as though you can get a vision. One of those corners is between the hallway and the bathroom and the bedroom. Doesn't have to be personal. At my mom's, we have one that covers the living room. She lives in a one-bedroom. One that is in her bedroom herself, and one that sort of shows the hallway between the bathroom and the door to the bathroom and the kitchen, like a place that you might slip. Nothing in the bathroom. You certainly could have that. I mean, and it's really inexpensive, and that means from your phone, wherever you are, you could check in. And just make sure, you just check in and there's sound. So you're not using it as much as security, where somebody on the outside is stealing your Amazon package. You're more just checking in on that person, or just put it in your house if you travel. Stick one in there in the living room. I have one, and I can just, it'd be weird if somebody was in here one day. I left and all of a sudden somebody was walking around, but I put one in there just for safety. And they are so inexpensive. Let me share that with you. And to me, they relax my mind when looking after someone. Blink camera. It's Amazon product. And there's one. Ooh, the price did go up. I made a story there. It's $35. I think it's probably cheaper ones than that. But there's the camera. It just looks like that. You stick it in the corner, and then you just watch it from an app on your phone. But they can be cheaper than that. Logitech has one. So, there are different ones to look for, but for a fair price, you can put a camera somewhere and keep an eye on that, on something. Does anybody use them? Anybody have them presently? Yeah. So they've been a great.
I have two, because when I'm gone, my grandson likes to have them on. And when he's gone, I like to have them on inside, two in the house.
I do this. I just peek once in a while, right, Linda? I don't know why.
Right.
It's be there, but I'm like, oh, look, the cushion hasn't moved. And right, so yeah, but I like them when they're gone. But also, I do like them for seniors, like for somebody that agrees with you, and you can look on it. You can share that, by the way. You could both, Uma and Andrew could both have an app and looking at the same picture of somebody, separately. Like you take the noon to 5 slot and check in. And of course, they have other options where you can record. I mean, if you were more concerned with security.